right, you are live.
Okay, we're live. This is Bill Costick, Chairman of the Public Service Commission on Grosse Ile. To call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America
and to the republic which stands
one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now I'd like to call roll. Costick here. Kennedy.
Here.
Schmidtke.
Present, sir.
Budny.
Here.
Pusdesris.
Present.
Syrocki.
Present.
Reilly. He's not here. Van
He's excused.
Okay. All right, with that, again, I want to welcome our newest commission member, Laura Syrocki, and when we meet in person, Laura, someday, we'll have a chance for a more formal introduction. Thank you for your willingness to serve on our commission. We look forward to serving with you. Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda as distributed.
I move that we approve the agenda.
That was Mr. Budny, right?
Correct.
This is Les. I will second it.
All right. Moved and supported. Any questions? If not, all in favor, you want a roll call, right?
If it's going to be unanimous, we can just say all ayes, but if there's going to be any kind of dissensions, we can do a roll call. How's that sound?
Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? So it's unanimous. Next, we have the minutes of the February 11th meeting. And I trust, Laura, since you weren't a member, you probably should abstain. Everybody else has had a chance to look at the minutes of that meeting. Can I have a motion for approval?
This is Jim again. I have a motion to approve the minutes.
All right. Les?
I have
supporting
not
it,
seen the
Les?
minutes.
All right. They were in the packet.
I didn't get no packet.
Anyway, who's seen them? I'll second it. What do you say? They were in
It was sent electronically, Les.
Oh, well, me and that thing just don't see eye to eye.
All right, I'll
Hey,
support
Lenny,
the
Lenny,
minutes.
second it.
Yeah,
Okay, Lenny.
this is Pusdesris. I'll second it.
All right, Lenny. Any discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 And I abstained. I wasn't there.
Okay, anybody vote?
Bill, you abstained?
Yes, I abstained. I was not present at the meeting.
Okay.
All right, we have 4 votes between Mr. Budny and Les. Did you vote in favor?
No, I abstained because I haven't read them.
Okay, Kennedy, yes?
I was not
Abstain.
present at the meeting. I had to
You
abstain.
weren't there. So Budny and Lenny, Costick is a yes. Who else?
We'll table it to the next meeting. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. All right. Next we have, yesterday Derek sent out 3 items, the vouchers for December, February, and March, the revenues and expenditures for December, February, and March, and the Treasury report for December, February, and March. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve all of them, all 3 months' reports, in one motion.
All right.
Can I have a motion for approval?
I move to approve and accept the reports.
That was Phil.
Kennedy.
Second.
Support.
This is Pusdesris.
Support,
I
Budny.
agree. I agree.
All right. So we have the move and support. Does anybody have a question about any of those items?
No.
Hearing none. Laura, normally we go through each one, but I'm trying to cut this short for today's meeting.
Okay.
So with that, if there's no questions, All in favor of approving vouchers, the revenue and expenditure report, and the treasurer's reports for December, February, and March, indicate by saying aye.
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 Is there any no vote? Hearing none, it's unanimous. How'd we do, Derek? Is that okay?
Very good, thank you.
All right. Next is opportunity for public comment. Do we have any public listening in?
Looks like we do not.
We'll move on. Action items. The first item, Derek, I'll let you explain briefly the rejection of the water main bids.
The Township of Groseal received bids in for the Meridian water main project earlier in the month. We did receive two bids. One was from Budny, which was the company that we had used last summer for the Park Lane water main, and the second was Paymar Contractors. Those two bids were reviewed by our engineers. As they normally do with those bid results, they'll issue a letter either recommending an award to a vendor, addressing potential deficiencies in the bids, or basically making a recommendation to reject the bids. Attached to this action item was a letter from our engineers, and that letter essentially says that they are recommending the rejection of the bids that we received, the two bids that we received, essentially because the bids were at conflict with what market rates should be for this project. It was pretty far above the engineer's estimate, and they feel that we might have a better chance at receiving a more competitive price by delaying the project to construction season 2021. So hopefully you've had the opportunity to read that letter from them. We're fortunate to have Sohio on the line, and I'd like to pass along the conversation to Sohio to explain a little bit more in depth what they saw in these bid results that made them come to that conclusion.
Good evening, everyone. What we saw when we opened the bids and reviewed them was a very big disparity between the low bidder and the second bidder. And during the pre-bid meeting, we heard comments that the bridge construction is going to have a big impact on the cost of the project. So, and also there is a big demand for infrastructure.
Very difficult to hear you, Sohio. Can you hear Sohio? I cannot hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'll start all over again. When we opened the bids, we noticed a very huge disparity between the low bidder and the second bidder. And during the pre-bid meeting, we heard comments from all the bidders. We had 6 bidders pick up plans that the bridge construction is going to have a big impact, and the timing of the project is going to have a big impact on the prices. So that manifested itself when we opened the bids. The other factor was that the market is saturated with projects, infrastructure projects now, including water mains. Every bidder was scrambling to put prices to bid projects. Some of them are much larger than our project, which was Seal. So all of that manifested itself in the prices that we received. And we just compared them to our estimate. We are usually very close with our estimate to project bids, as you are all familiar. We pride ourselves putting estimates that are very accurate. In this case, the bid prices were much larger than that. So I feel pretty much that we need to reject these bids and wait for another opportunity where the conditions out there are much more favorable of getting more better prices that reflect the actual market prices for these projects. And that's what we used as a basis for our recommendation.
Okay, this is Costick. Everybody can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, and this is really for Les's sake, when Derek sent me those bids, and I started looking at the unit price comparisons for the same work between the two low bidders, I thought, what the heck's going on? The pricing was terrible. I'm getting feedback here. You guys aren't getting feedback, right?
No, we're okay.
No, I'm getting an echo. But anyway, I just want to tell you that I thought this is terrible. First of all, we were going to do all three segments: the Church Road segment, the one out by Voight, and then the one on Meridian between Parkway and Island, or Thoroughfare. And I got to tell you, so we could only do one of them with these bids. And I looked at the unit price, and even trivial matters like traffic control. One would bid $20,000, the other would bid $200,000. I know they got to bury their profit someplace, but I got really frustrated looking at these. So Hal told me, and I think I have the number right, the unit for linear foot prices are 30% above last year's prices in some cases, or even more somehow. So we came to the conclusion quickly, we should probably think about rebidding this next December.
And I just wanted to add this. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, as general questions of Sahal and Bill, how do we feel that this current shutdown that we're going through now, and then the slow resumption to what might be called normalcy, may affect these projects going forward? Are we anticipating that there will be a better opportunity, or it's going to be a worse opportunity going forward?
I would guess it's going to be better, particularly with the bridge circulation. They'll know where it is.
Phil, to answer part of the question was the pricing that we talked about earlier. When we bid the Park Lane Water Main project, the price per foot was $115. These come in at $185 and $195 per foot. And considering the oil prices and the market the way it is, that shouldn't be the case. So there is some extraneous element that impacted these prices. It's either the high demand in the market or the bridge closure that's kind of manifested themselves in these bid prices. The connection, for example, to connect a water main to the new main is $30,000. This is a project on its own. These things should be $2,000 or $3,000. They can't be $30,000 unit price for these construction connections. I mean, it's pretty much unreal the way they priced them.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what we think demand might be going forward. In other words, how much of an influence do you think that's going to have with everything having been shut down for some period of time?
I can maybe answer that question a little bit, Phil. It's Derek. I did have the opportunity to talk with Paymar. They had contacted me after the bids came in, and they wanted to kind of know, what our timing schedule was, and so I gave them that information as far as when we were going to be making the decision. But they really wanted to know because they were in the process of bidding on a lot of other jobs. I don't think there's any lack of work out there. I don't think there will be continue to be any lack of work. I think there's going to be plenty of things to bid on. I think the situation here with the bridge, as Ohio had mentioned, he had 6 vendors pick up packets. We got 2 bids. So although there might be more work, there was a reason why we only got 2 bids. And I think part of that reason was the bridge. So although the market might have additional work in it, it will continue to be a busy market. Our hope is that next year, without the bridge being a determining factor, we might have some more interest from some more bidders rather than just the 2 that we received. So hopefully that helps out.
Right. I mean, it's we're not expecting these prices to go further up. In other words, that's what I'm getting at.
No, if anything, yeah, we think they'll go down.
Okay.
Okay.
In my experience, Phil, I've seen where you've gone and rebid things right after you bid them you know, like let's say you do it like a month or a month and a half later, I usually would see higher prices then, but we're talking about bidding this a whole year later. So I think there's enough of a time period there where, you know, people are going to be resetting their schedules and stuff where, you know, I think we got a better chance at a better price.
Sounds good.
Are there any other questions? If not, can I have a motion to reject the bids?
I will make a motion to reject the bids on the water main project until 2021.
I support.
Well, Les, I just
Who's the support?
want to make this, before you say 2021, can I just throw out, what if we think the climate's right in December for bidding?
Well, the construction will be 2021. That's what I meant.
Oh, for construction in 2021. Okay. You got that, Derek?
Who was the second on that?
Kennedy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if no more questions, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
You want a roll call on this, right? You want a roll call?
If it's unanimous, it's fine.
Is there any votes no? Laura, where are you on this?
I support, I guess, you know, my question, and I was on mute talking, but if the second bidder bid it last year, how are their prices compared to last year? Their
Much
unit
higher.
prices? Much higher?
Much higher.
Okay.
And I know you're new, but I don't take this one lightly, the way they did this. You okay with it?
I'm okay with it, yep.
Yep. Okay, so we voted, it's unanimous. Derek?
Yes, yep, I got it.
Okay. Next, confirming the vote on the sludge hauling.
Everybody spoke up via email about this topic about a month ago before I went to the Township Board. And I did get, for the most part, consensus from the DPS commissioners about the award of this contract to Gullet Sanitation. So we're just confirming that those informal comments, we had promised the Township Board that we would, at the next meeting of the DPS Commission, confirm that recommendation with a formal vote. That's what this is about.
And I think it'd be worthwhile, Derek, for you to just briefly recite that you met with the contractor, Gullet, and talked to them extensively about their bid, which was a third of Waste Management's. Would you just make a brief comment on that?
Sure, yeah. We went out to bid on this. It's the first time the Township has, in at least a little while, been involved with the bidding of these services. We got 3 bids, Waste Management, Gullet, and Merrill Brothers. Gullet, as Bill had mentioned, was a lot lower than anybody else. We checked the references. We did our due diligence to make sure that we were in a good position with them, and we were very comfortable with them performing those services for us. I think the price differential between what we paid last year and what we're going to pay with them is about $150,000. So the difference between a $250,000 project and about a $100,000 project is like anywhere between $85,000 and $100,000, depending upon quantities. So it'd be a significant savings for us. They have been mobilizing, from what I understand, over there to do this work. They want to do it before the pre-bridge closes. They would have been here sooner, but there was some pre-testing that needed to occur to make sure that they had the test results on the sludge for the landfill to be able to receive that product. So, Ryan, can you maybe speak to where they stand? I thought that they were mobilizing over there. Do they have equipment on site?
Walsh is here. Yes, most of it's already there right now, and they're supposed to actually bring more this week, and we're still waiting on the lab result as of right now. So, and we're gonna hopefully have those lab results by week's end here. That's the plan. So
Good.
so hopefully we can start next week or something. Yeah.
Okay, so we're ready for a motion to approve? Derek,
Yes.
are you ready for a motion?
Yes. Yep.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of the work of gullet sanitation.
This is Jim. I make a motion to approve the contractor gullet sanitation for sludge hauling.
Is there support?
Support. Pusdesris.
Lenny, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Moved and supported. Are there other questions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any no votes? It's unanimous then. Next item is the GIS computer hardware.
We are going through the process of the asset management plan, as is mandated by the state of Michigan. So we've been doing the TVing of the sewer systems. The engineers, Fishbeck, have been putting all that information as well as the inventory of our system into a GIS format. That information needs to be uploaded into a computer that would be housed here at Township Hall, in which staff can utilize to review all the location data and also all the video from the TVing work. The hardware needs to be purchased for the ability to do that. We need to start our employees being trained on that hardware. This is a budgeted item. We have $15,000 that was in this fiscal year's budget to make this purchase. We've delayed it as long as we could to make sure that with technology we're buying the latest, greatest as far as the most current versions of software and current versions of hardware. The vendor in this is Cygnus Systems, who is the township's IT vendor. We worked with them to spec this out along with Esri, which is going to be the GIS software provider, to make sure that the hardware that we're purchasing is compatible with the software that we're going to run the GIS system on. And then also we worked with Cygnus to make sure that the township's IT infrastructure is capable of supporting this new piece of hardware as well. We didn't want to overtax the the township servers with this additional workload. So he made sure to incorporate items into the hardware purchase that would ensure that the township's existing system isn't overtaxed and cause problems elsewhere within the township. So this is part of the asset management plan. It's the next step in the GIS programming and setup. So that's what this is all about.
And it was budgeted for, I think.
It is. So we have $15,000 in the budget. This purchase of the software and hardware for the computer itself is $8,900, $8,917. There will be some additional software purchase. Usually that's on an annual license basis. That will be for the Esri software, but we can't purchase the Esri software until we get the hardware in place. And Cygnus Systems is going to have to come in. They got to order the hardware and the software, come in, install it, and then we can move forward with the Esri stuff. So you guys will see an additional action item at a subsequent meeting for the Esri GIS software, which will make up the balance of that $15,000 line item. So it'll probably come in below budget, but that's where the additional monies will be spent.
Are there any questions?
Kennedy, one question.
Yep.
Derek, just a general question. I noticed that it looks like the labor portion of this is about 50%, and I have no experience with this type of purchase. Is that pretty consistent in the industry, that the labor cost would be that high?
Yeah, and I think it's maybe a little bit higher on this system because it's not just like a desktop computer. It has to be tied into the server with all the information sharing. And then also there's some upgrades to the server that need to happen. So there's a fair amount of labor that does need to happen with this. So yeah, I would say it's consistent with the work that needs to be done for this type of installation.
Okay.
Any other questions?
This is Laura. I have a question. Is there a support after the system is installed? Is that built in there?
Yeah, so Cygnus is our IT provider. So they have a contract with the township. We purchase all of our hardware, and they do all of our support for all of the township's network systems. So
even the ESRI part of it?
The ESRI is going to be something different. So the ESRI part of it will come at a subsequent purchase. There is no ESRI purchase that's part of what's being asked for approval for tonight. That'll come at a later date. So
okay, because I know that.
And that's a very
support.
That's a very good point for the ESRI software. There is support that's necessary for that, but this is just the hardware end of things. So
okay.
Okay, good question. Any other questions? If not, all in favor to give. Oh, we have to have a motion here, right?
This is Les to make the motion to purchase the hardware.
Okay.
Support. Budny.
Okay. Any questions? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any no votes? It's unanimous. Finally, action item D is the purchase of a Ford F-350 pickup that is in the budget. Derek.
An additional budgeted item, we had planned to replace one of our older pickup trucks with this purchase. As Bill had mentioned, it is budgeted. We went through the My Deal program, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, the state bid pricing format that's used on a lot of equipment purchases for DPW departments and municipalities. Laura, for your benefit, I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but basically the state goes out to bid for a lot of different items, and then municipalities can purchase off their contracts, basically. So we don't have to write bid specs and basically incur the cost to bid these out. We can bid off their contracts. So the pricing came in with the state bid at $38,510. Gorno Ford is a state bid My Deal vendor. They do have a contract under the My Deal program, so we're recommending the purchase through them. And all vendors would have the same pricing under this state contract. So there is a plow that's specified within the quote that was attached to this action item. That was Gorno Ford's price. I think maybe they're going to use Southgate Hitch. We're going to go ahead and take a look at a couple of different vendors to make sure we're getting the township the best price on a plow and plow installation. So what's being asked tonight is just the purchase of the truck and the lighting system for it. The specifications for this truck are based upon a couple of different things. Versatility, obviously with the plow being something that we're going to have on here, but also we had in the budget the purchase of a brush roadside mower. We spec'd out this truck to be able to pull the trailer and the mower that we hope to purchase in the next couple of months, at least place our order in the next couple of months. So this truck would be capable of being able to pull that vehicle or pull that piece of equipment. That way we're not tying up a dump truck or something like that, pulling that mower. The backlog on this is probably going to be fairly significant with the whole COVID issue. So we wanted to try to get our order in as soon as possible because we know that with the plants being shut down, there's some additional lead time that we're going to experience when it comes to this this truck. So with that, are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question. What kind of a truck is it? Is it a super cab or is it just a regular pickup truck?
It's the extended cab, but not the four-door. So it's got the small jump seat or little bench seat in the back. So
okay, that's like the yellow ones we used to have that I spec'd umpteen years ago.
Yeah, I found that's useful. That way they can put tools back there and stuff. When you start getting into the 4-doors and stuff, and you want to try to plow with it, the body length gets to be an issue, which I'm sure you know. So
Derek, actually that is a 4-door, but it's different.
It's like an internal handle, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the crew cab. They call it the super cab.
Yeah, it's it's just an extended cab. Yeah, it's not the crew cab.
Right.
Correct. Okay, you need a motion on this, Daryl?
Yep.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we do go forth and purchase this vehicle.
Support.
Is there support?
Budny, support.
Okay.
Jim.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, Derek, I'm turning it over to you now. Water loss report.
Sure, let me pull mine up real quick. So for February, we had purchased 18 million gallons and some change. We had billed 15 million gallons for a total unmetered loss of 2.6 million. So we're at about 14.84%. The running total is 12.435%. Included on that spreadsheet is also I&I. And you see that we had some pretty rough months there going back to January and February. Ryan might be able to speak a little bit more to that, but we had a heck of a lot of rain. We had a couple of days there where we had 2.5 inches over the course of about 48 hours. So when we see those kind of rainfall events, we end up having a lot of flow coming to the plant that's not from people's homes. So those numbers are a bit high for those 2 months, obviously. So.
Your water loss figures 12.4%?
12.4%, yep.
Les, you okay with that?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right. Dust control. John and I have been working a bit on the dust control for calendar year 2020. We had gone back to the vendor we have used over the past couple of years, D&D Emulsions, and asked them to extend their pricing, or at least provide a proposal to extend their pricing for this fiscal year. They did come back with a couple of different options. Upon further discussion about the bridge situation, they basically said they don't really have any interest in doing it this year with the complications that the bridge proposes or causes. So we were left in a position where extending the contract with them wasn't even an option. So I did develop bid specifications. We put those bid specs out the beginning of this month or the tail end of March. And those bids, I believe, are due on the 24th of April. Just so you know, and I think I sent you a copy of the bid specs as part of the meeting packet, we bid it out 2 different ways. And I talked to John about it. He kind of gave me the history on why you guys are using the dust bond material. We bid it out 2 ways, one being the dust bond material and one being calcium chloride. My understanding was you used dust bond because it held up longer and it allowed you to do 1 application rather than 2. The problem with the dust bond material is D&D Emulsions has like a kind of like a proprietary agreement with the manufacturer of the dust bond material. So although we bid it out with the dust bond as one option and calcium chloride as a second option, D&D has already said that they weren't interested in bidding. So more than likely what you're going to end up seeing is a calcium chloride proposal coming before you, just because the dust bond material is probably not going to be an option for us. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Now, when I did bid, or I put the bid specs together, I bid it as the dust bond material as 1 application, and then I asked for pricing on the calcium chloride for 2 applications. So my understanding, like I mentioned earlier, John had said that you guys had gone with the dust bond because it held up better. One way to combat the ineffectiveness of the calcium chloride is to do, 2 applications of it. So that's how the pricing is going to come back for me. And then also in those bid specifications, we had provided verbiage that covered the bridge issues that we have going on for this calendar year. So the vendors are all making their bids based upon, that understanding that that's going to be a complication to the application for this year.
Derek, this is Les.
Hey, Les.
One thing about calcium chloride, when they put it down, you get a good spring rainstorm and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with it.
Yeah, and I think what I've got it spec'd out as is like application in June and then another application in August or something like that. So,
we'll have to see what happens. But through all my prior experience working with calcium chloride, it just doesn't last.
Right.
Yeah, you guys will have an option. You guys will have an option before you that'll show up at the next meeting, and you can make a decision what direction you want to go with it. If we can work the timing, maybe we can address some of those concerns. But the other option is probably just going to be not to do an application, which I don't know whether that's an option that you guys are willing to consider. We do have dust control in the budget. Obviously, it doesn't make sense to do it if it doesn't help and it just gets washed away, but that'll have to be a discussion we're going to have. I just wanted to make you guys aware of it at this meeting, so when it shows up on your agenda and you see that it's maybe a different product than what you used last year, it's not because we didn't try to get a price on the dust bond, and it's not that we didn't want to try to go with that option. It's just it doesn't seem like the vendor is willing this year to participate. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, we all got to stay
one of
inside anyhow. So what's the difference?
This is Costick. One of my biases over the years has been that I think there was 1 year way back, maybe let's say 8 or 9 years ago, where we had to put 2 applications in. We budgeted, I don't have it in front of me, 30, 35, 40,000 for dust control, and I'm not going to be inclined to double that by putting a separate application down. I think last year the first application was placed because it was scheduled, but things were pretty wet. We had a very rainy spring, and it did last.
I think the dust bond material is a more expensive product. The calcium chloride is obviously a more common product, and there are a lot more vendors that run that product. So my hope is that your 1 application in dust bond is comparable to 2 applications of calcium chloride. So, my hope would be that we would stay under budget, All
right, that's good. All right. Any other questions on that? If not, we'll move to the next item, project update.
So, Hal, are you still on the line?
I'm still here.
Do you want to take us through this? I mean, you're the one that put it together, and most of these projects involve you.
Sure.
So,
no problem. We're going to start with the Park Lane Drainage Project. As you're all aware, the conditions are still too wet out there for us to perform a topographic survey where we can pick up all the information we need to lay out the berm and the pump station on the north end. We move on to the Swan Island Drainage Project. The topographic survey is done, and we're in the process of designing it now. And we're waiting for Kennedy to provide us with the panel layout and the pump sizes for the project. Again, everything has been delayed because of this COVID-19 situation. But again, the project is in the process of getting finalized. The water main project on Meridian and Church Road, we discussed that earlier. Again, we made a recommendation to reject the bids and rebid the project for the 2021 construction. On the raw sewage pump number 1, we finally were able to secure a permit from Eagle to perform the project. We are in the process of getting pricing from process piping to revise some of the piping, and I understand SUEZ provided the price to replace the pump. For the raw sewage pumps number 4 and the intermediate pumps, those are in the process of being analyzed for sizing and for the Part 41 permit application elements. So this project eventually will be finalized by OHM, and the Part 41 will be processed. Hopefully, if this COVID-19 situation is relaxed a bit, we can get to the site to pick up some more information and get the drawings finalized. Again, OHM are working on that. For the HVAC lab unit, we are again in the process of sizing the unit to pick up the additional areas. I know we're eliminating the boiler, and we're picking up those areas with this new unit. That again is going to be required to have a Part 41 permit submitted to Eagle. Eagle are insisting that we have to submit that to them. So again, we're in the process of getting that moving slowly but steadily. I'm hoping that the governor will relax the stay-at-home policy so we can get to the site and do some more measurements. The bar screens project, we deemed that project as an essential project so the parent can continue with the manufacturing of the screens. Our understanding is they are finalizing the manufacturing of the products, and we don't know when they're going to be able to deliver them. We're trying to track that with the contractor, process piping. The basis of design plant improvement, we are working on securing the properties north of the plant. Those properties were relayed as part of a land transfer by the county, but they were never recorded. So we are working on getting those properties recorded so we can build the nuclear fire on them. There are probably 5 or 6 lots impacted. As soon as the lots get recorded, we'll add them through a property description to the plant site. On the asset management aspect, we submitted the 2019 asset management report to Eagle, and we are finalizing the 2020 report that is due on May 1st. We are having a progress meeting this Friday with Fishback, and, Ryan, and Derek, and our staff to go through the report that's getting finalized to be submitted on May 1st. The emergency repairs of the sinkhole, the repair was taken care of and completed. However, some restoration is still pending the weather improvements. So that would take place again once the stay-at-home policies are relaxed and when the weather improves. Derek, anything else? That's all I have at this point on my report.
That's quite a big report. It's quite a big report.
They have a lot going on. So, anybody have any questions of Sohail?
I have one. This is Costick. The Swan Island project. Do we have a target date of when we might bid that?
We like to bid it as soon as possible, Bill. The only concern we have is we're not getting a quick response from Kennedy on the pump sizing and the panel layout. Once we get that from them, we can submit for the permits so we can get it bid out. I'm hoping we can do it. We can go out for bids somewhere in early to mid-June.
Well, all right. Maybe you guys can place a phone call to Kennedy again. I don't know.
We will.
All right. Any other comments from anybody? All right. I guess we're going to move on to a report from Ryan.
John, did you have anything?
The only thing I had, Derek, was the 2020 televising and cleaning process is on hold. The stay-at-home order to be lifted. And also our spring fire hydrant flushing program is also on hold until stay-at-home order is lifted.
I do want to give a little bit of a kudos to John. He's been basically in every day since this whole thing started, taking care of any problems that any of the residents have, or any water main breaks, or any sinkholes that arise, and he's been Johnny on the spot with taking care of these residents. So, thank John for doing a hell of a job with making sure the field stuff, and what's important, the residents are taken care of during all this. So,
thank you, Derek.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Yep. Thanks, John.
Hey, John, this is Les, and you know what that thank you's for.
Yes.
Sign. Street sign.
Ryan, do you have anything at all? I did put an email in the packet that SUEZ had sent the township via Ryan regarding their rates for this upcoming year. As you know, we had all gone through the negotiations with SUEZ on the extension of their contract, and they sent us an email basically saying that they were going to forfeit this year's increase, and prices were going to remain as they were last year. So that's a little bit of good news for us.
So the question is why? Why? I mean, they're a for-profit company. Tell me why. I'm a little concerned about that.
Ryan, you got anything?
This is Walsh. Nothing more to that. I'm trying to... No, I don't really have any reason on that. No, I don't. Nope. So, I guess SUEZ would be making less money this year. Yeah.
I guess it concerns me why they would do that.
Okay.
It doesn't make business
Yeah, I don't
sense.
know, Bill. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess maybe it's something when things get a little normalized in a couple of months we can find out. Talk to Mike. What's his name? Mike?
Bolvin.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, well, I guess we'll find out.
Ryan, do you have anything else from the plant standpoint at all?
Nothing else. We're just moving along there. No real issues or anything, though. So, we have a lot of stuff happening there, but no issues.
This is Les. I have one question. Are they passing on the filter thing?
Yes, they will be soon in like a week or so. That they're setting all that up right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're moving along here. Next, I have an item written down, discussion item. There's no discussion item, right?
Right. We did talk about roads at our last DPS meeting. I think Bill and we had talked a couple of weeks ago when we were putting the agenda together. There were notes in the minutes that basically said, hey, we'd like to talk about roads at this next meeting, but being that this format isn't ideal, we decided to forego that discussion at this meeting and wait till a later date when it's a little bit more organized and a little bit more fluid as far as conversation. So.
Good idea.
Okay, so everybody, Phil, I know you had some thoughts, and I think we had the same thoughts. But this is too cumbersome to have a discussion about roads.
I agree.
And I want to ask Derek a question. I hope by a month from now things change a little bit so that some of this stuff can be relaxed. But if not, I want to ask, are there any meetings being conducted, like a study session, where people would sit 6 feet apart at Township Hall? We could just have a study session and sit 6 feet apart. Are there any such meetings?
I know. Yeah, Jim, maybe if you want to answer it, but I mean, I know the last Township Board meeting they had, it was via Zoom. I know the one that is scheduled for next Monday, I think, is via teleconference or Zoom as well. So I'm not aware of any 6 foot, apart in-person study sessions that are scheduled, or, it also doesn't seem that the Township Board or the Township's interested in doing that at this point, just with everything going on with the COVID. So hopefully that answers your question.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll figure something out for the future. We'll figure something out for the future. Go ahead.
I'll look into that. Nothing is happening right now.
Okay, good. Who's talking?
I think that's just somebody hasn't muted their mic, so they're picking up everything in the house.
No, my phone picked something up. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda was the chairman's report, and the only comment I have is I've seen, my wife has shown me on the Grocefield Neighbor app, there's a lot of good comments about priority waste and the service they're providing. Can anybody comment on that?
Yeah, I can a little bit. This is Derek. I've gotten a couple of phone calls, reference checks for priority. Like Sterling Heights, their provider, GFL, basically canceled their yard waste pickup, so they were looking at, Sterling Heights was, hiring priority to do the yard waste for a couple of weeks. I know a lot of our residents have been asking, are we still maintaining recycling, yard waste, and regular service? And we've been trying to get the word out that nothing has changed, and that's a testament to our vendor that they're providing a full scope of services through all this that's going on. And I think that when we were going through the bid process, some of the concern was it's a smaller company, and one of the concerns of the smaller company is how do they respond to adversity or staffing limits or issues with staffing during staffing, times when you have staffing problems, like, individuals on your staff getting sick and being able to fill those shifts. And they've done a fantastic job with providing the service that they obligated themselves to us in their contract without a hiccup. And I do find that what's been really good is the feedback from the residents has been positive. But anytime that there's an issue with a resident that has a concern, it's taken care of right away. I got an email today from a resident about a couple of trash cans, and not only did that resident get a response from Vince, he also got a response, I think, from Dan and Mark. So, I mean, this resident got addressed by 3 of the higher-ups at the company about taking care of their problems. So, yeah, all positives, all good things at this point. So.
Well, that's very good. Make sure you... Yeah, that's very good. Okay, next there are commissioners' comments. We'll go around, Kennedy?
Just 2 comments. One, Derek, when we were reading the letter from Waste Management about their no contract increase, they had a lot of cautions in there about what testing and that would need to be done on the sludge hauling. And that's all been taken care of in that contract with Gullet, I would assume.
Yeah, we've worked through that between the township and Gullet. All those tests are being done. Like Ryan had said earlier, I think we're waiting on the results for one more. But yeah, there were like four or five tests that need to be done on the product before it could, be processed and hauled off. But yes, to answer your question, it's all been resolved. I think we're just waiting on one left before they can start processing it. But that's just the lab that we're waiting on, not Gullet. So. Right.
And one other thing, I'm not sure whether all the other commission members are aware of this, but I think we need to give a big shout out to Derek that Bird Dog that bid with the sludge hauling and found out that we were able to save that amount of money by switching vendors, and he did
absolutely.
Initiative, and I think we need to give him credit. That's quite a bit of savings.
Well, let's all vote unanimous. Thank you, Derek, for good work.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. Just another good job.
Good point, Phil. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Derek.
That's all I have.
Phil?
That's all I have. Everybody stay safe.
Les Schmidtke, your turn.
This is directed to you, Bill, about SUEZ's rates. Don't look the gift horse in the mouth. I have nothing else.
Les, that's not my concern. My concern is why would they do this?
That's a good question. Why?
What are the implications? That they may. Where's that? It gives me concern. That's all I'm telling you. Okay, Jim Budny.
Just number one, I'd like to again welcome Laura to the commission. I've met her, and when you guys meet her, you will enjoy her. She's a wonderful person, and I think her knowledge will help us. And just tell everybody, stay safe. I look forward to being with you guys. This video conferencing just doesn't get it. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Lenny?
No comments at this time. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Lenny. And then finally, Laura.
Thank you.
This was your first meeting.
Yes. I like in-person meetings better, so.
All right, well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay, go back to, I think Ryan is done. John Keim, anything else?
Nothing this time. Stay safe, everybody. See you in a month.
Hey,
Okay,
Bill.
Thanks for being
Bill, don't forget Ted.
Oh, is Ted there?
Yes. Yeah, he's
I
here.
didn't know you walked in. I'm sorry, Ted. I didn't hear you walk in.
It's all right, Bill. Welcome, Laura. Glad to have you aboard. And for the people, are you televising this, Brian? Are you going to televise this?
Sorry, I had it muted. Yes, it's on television, Facebook, YouTube, everything.
Okay, the only thing I'd like to add is make sure that the residents, when they pick up their trash cans, make sure they sanitize their hands when they get in, because those guys that are picking up trash are handling 200-300 cans a day. So it's always wise to make sure that thing can be contaminated. Be sure to wipe it down. That's all I have,
Okay,
Bill.
good point. Good point, Ted. I guess I don't want to leave anybody out. I think that the only one left is Derek, right? Any final comment?
No, I don't. I the only thing I did want to say was thank you guys for your patience with all this and making yourself available to do this teleconference. I appreciate it very much. We've got things we've got to get done here, and to make yourself available so we can keep moving with stuff is very much appreciated. So thank you.
Okay, good. And I want to thank Brian Friel, our deputy clerk of the township, for taking this on and doing this, Brian. So thank you very much.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay, so if everybody had a chance to speak, then. If so, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is May 12th.
So
This is
moved.
Les, and I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8 p.m.
There you
Second.
go.
Second.
Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye, thank you.
It's unanimous. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.